Good afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. Let's get rid of that because that's always in the way. Oh, wait, no, don't do that. That's what we want to do. Hey, everybody. Happy, wait, what is today?
It's the same day like any other. We're all locked, so good. I don't know. It's probably Friday. Could it be Friday?
I hope it is, because otherwise all the invites were wrong. It's one of those days. I'm squeezing this literally in my lunch hour. So it's like I'm eating as we're going. So, and I don't have a pop the top. All I have is my water today. So, and today's is going to be a little bit shorter than normal. I've got another client call that starts at the top of the next hour. So we're going to go till about 45 after, and then we're going to bail. So we'll say peace out earlier today, but not yet. Here's what we're going to talk about. We actually did a podcast this morning talking more about the chaos course, and we talked with the the team behind Chaos Toolkit. And one of the things that we talked about towards the end had nothing to do with chaos, but it was a headline that I saw this morning, excuse me, is that Spain is getting ready to lift the restrictions on children. But it didn't say anything about adults. Now, remember, this is a headline. That's all that I saw. Now, Victor, why don't you explain what that really means? Because to me, that sounds like, Lord of the Flies, Children of the Corn. It's what can happen? What could go wrong there? So what's the truth behind that?
I mean, the law that does not allow you to leave your kid outside unaccompanied by adults is still very much
still in force.
Valid.
Okay.
In force, exactly. Okay. So the thing that is happening really is that through different studies and stuff like that, they realize that being locked in a house, unless you're a software engineer or a nerd, really affects people. So we've, in case of Spain, starting Monday, children and adults with children will be able to spend some time outside. Still with the distance between each other and all that. So it will not be kind of like a park with 100 children playing in sand. It will be more like, the way how I imagine it, in the movies, when you see a prison courtyard and then people walking in circle with a certain distance between them, that's how it's going to look.
That's probably going to be it. So you may be asking, what does this have to do with DevOps? I'm so glad you asked. And so is Victor, because he doesn't know where I'm going with this. So we have the same restrictions. In fact, in North Carolina, the governor said yesterday that they're going to keep the existing restrictions in place until May 8th, which is basically just an extra week of what he was already had planned, which is like, okay, that's fine. No big deal. But then there are certain, I will call them splinter groups, in my opinion, that want to reopen everything and go right back to just like how we were before all this got locked down. Now, here's my thesis. It may not hold up. That's okay.
It will not.
It won't hold up.
Whatever it is.
So if government, and you'll see the parallels to management after a while, if government decides, okay, yep, let's just go right back to where we were before everything happened, you'd probably see another big spike. Again, I'm making big assumptions here, but so is everybody else right now. You would see all these other things happen in a really fast way that is going to cause really bad things to happen. Probably. Not guaranteed, but probably. So here's my parallel back to DevOps. Is you may have some companies that want to go from 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds, or whatever the magic numbers are, right? They want to do that. They want Thanos level speed. But even though you have a car, in fact, there's roller coasters that do the same thing through sort of maglev, right? It speeds right up really fast, but it's still going through every one of those steps to get to that speed. It's just able to get through it faster. It's not skipping any of those things. So in companies, if they're thinking that, okay, hey, look, I'm just going to go do DevOps. I'm going to do DevOps, right? You can't skip through any of those pieces ever. Well, number one, you can't really do DevOps. We'll leave that there. Hi. She's poking her head in. Hi.
Yeah, she's
a YouTube star now. She's bored. Well, and we're not. So my thesis is to believe that you can go from a lockdown, a very old and locked in state, and be able to go full speed ahead is very flawed, and it would never work and never work out. Counter that.
No, there is nothing I can counter. Okay, that's absolutely the reality. What surprises me is that this is the story that is happening over and over and over and over again.
It's a tale as old as time, a song as old as rhyme. Okay.
And so every couple of years, every major big enterprise company realizes again that, we are not doing great, but now we're going to adopt X, whatever X is, and suddenly everything is going to be perfect. And then a couple of years later, and a huge investment, they realize that, that's a failure, or at least only a fraction of our expectations were met. Right? You do improve always a bit, but only a fraction, right?
Yeah.
And then say, we messed up. But now we're going to try this new thing, and it's going to be successful. And every year is the same thing. Every year or every couple of years, we come up with a new magic thing that is going to change everything without really huge effort. And what I like to quote I'm going to paraphrase, not quote, because I don't remember exact quote. It was by Einstein, who said, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result is a definition of insanity.
Right. I don't remember if it's Einstein that said it or not, but that's true. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, but here's the truth in this, though. There is a grain of truth in this. If I was to go and pick up 50 pounds every day at the gym, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. When I'm first starting out, it's probably going to be hard because I'm working on getting my form right. I'm building my strength. I'm doing those things. Because at some point, then it's not necessarily going to become easy, but it's going to become routine.
Yes.
But at the point of, okay, now I've hit that point. This is where the Einstein quote, or whoever said it, is. Now I'm at strength, but I decide not to press through and move on from 50 pounds to 100 pounds. And then I'm wondering why I'm not getting any better.
So to be honest, I rarely hear, when I hear those plans companies are making, I almost never think, no, this is stupid. Nobody should do that. And I don't hear that. Most of those things make sense. Most, not all.
Right.
It's just expectations are wrong. Like if you go to 50 pounds or whatever you said, I don't know those measures. Yeah. But you need to start with 1 pound and then 2 pounds or 3 pounds or whatever the increments are. And it's and when you saw the commercial that lifting weight is great, and it is great, but when you saw a commercial that actually there is a program that in 7 days you're going to be able to lift I don't know how many pounds if you just take this magic pill, that's what's wrong. That commercial is wrong. But then what will happen, and what happens all the time, is that you believe the stupid commercial, and then you think that you will be lifting, I don't know what, in 5 days. And then your conclusion of that is lifting weights is stupid. And it's not.
Right.
It's not. You were stupid for believing that commercial.
Yes, because if you read the bottle, if you buy the bottle of pills, one of the things that it will say in the fine print, by the way, not in big bold letters as it should, is use these supplements in conjunction with a good eating plan. I don't remember the right words. There's probably better words. But that's what it's not just the pill. It's not just the book. It's not just the blog post. It's people putting butts in seats, fingers on keyboards, and doing the work.
Exactly.
The pill may be a framework, right? The pill may be the framework, because the pill is becoming more effective as you do the other things, as you exercise, as you eat correctly. Again, I'm not a doctor. I can't make these claims, but in theory, it's helping. So that was my basic thought for today, is just as the governments are starting to hopefully reopen their municipalities, I still don't know why I bother saying that word, while they're trying to open their cities, hopefully they will do it in a reasonable and sane way. Now, the downside to that is if it gets opened easily, right? And we start doing things in phases, just little by little by little. And then there is an outbreak at some point, then they could go back one step. They may have to go all the way back to step one again. It sounds like, normal stuff, right? But at least you can, you have to have a measured response on this. And this is where, in most companies, that hard, what do we call it, whiplash of getting, thrown to each side and the other. Oh, today we're doing Agile. Today we're doing Waterfall. This week we're doing Scrum. Next week we're going to do something else, right? I'm just getting banged around like an old wooden roller coaster. And it's just not good. So.
And to make worse, statistically, there's a high chance that that fictitious company employed consultant from a company I'm not going to name, and because there are many, that is going to tell you some really ridiculous, silly things because he's really trying.
By the way, they actually have DevOps in a box as well.
Yeah, I still don't know what DevOps is, and there is a box with it. Excellent.
Oh, well. We have a question.
Yeah, we have a question, yeah.
I'm going to put that up there. Okay, here we go. Sorry I'm eating, but I'm hungry.
Oh, that's a difficult one.
It is a very difficult. What is a DevOps professional, first off?
Let's skip that for a second.
Okay, we'll stay
because
that.
I have a quick answer, kind of like COBOL. COBOL will maximize your salary.
Right now, COBOL.
Yeah, exactly. So say that you can do something with COBOL.
You're done. I've seen some crazy rates for COBOL recently, like upwards of, in the US, anywhere from $500 to $700 an hour. Crazy money.
Exactly. But now, assuming that the question is maximum salary and have a bright future as well, and without having to retire soon, then I don't think that there is an answer. The answer is probably in having a skill that is in demand, not as in quantity, kind of we need 10,000 Java developers, but in demand. Being able to take a team or an organization to the next level, whatever that next level is. And that's hard to define, because next level for some could be Kubernetes, for others might be cloud, for somebody else might be moving from COBOL to some. It really depends.
Moving from bare metal to VMs. So
yes,
your value. This is true of anything. Where's my? Here we go. What is this worth? This is an HDMI to DVI adapter. What is this worth? Because I have it in my hand, it's worth probably $5 or $6. If I was at a conference right now and somebody needed this adapter, it may be worth $50 to $100. Oh, better yet, toilet paper. What's toilet paper worth? Hand sanitizer. What is it worth? The worth is always relative, unfortunately, unless you're working in government and everything's pay grade.
So, again, I cannot answer that question directly, but what I can say is that I'm yet to find somebody who is truly expert in something, and it honestly does not matter what that something is. It really doesn't matter. But somebody who is truly an expert, really proficient in something that doesn't have a job, and if he loses his job, he will find the next one soon, and doesn't have a good salary and things like that. It doesn't really, it matters, but there are so many things. Expert in JVM, you're going to earn money. Expert in Kubernetes, you're going to earn money. Expert in containers, you're going to earn money. Expert in cloud. Thousands of things you can be good at to earn a good salary. You just need to be hell of a good at that something. And here is the thing that my co-host will see that I'm picking. And you need to be very good to articulate well that you're an expert in that.
Okay,
that's important. No,
Yeah.
that's important because there are people who are not able to articulate the level of their expertise. So when you go to, I don't know, job, how do you call it, job
Interview.
and then kind of like, yeah, you know everything about JVM, but kind of like, yeah, I know JVM. So you need to be really good at.
They have a personality of a rock.
Yes.
And sometimes you need people like that. In fact, you want to be able to hire those people, but the management style for those types of people are very different. Usually you push pizza under the door to them and just keep them happy, or whatever their flavor of food is. But if you're the interviewee, you've got to be able to communicate.
Okay, one more thing.
Okay.
Public work. So if I would be now employing people myself, which I'm not, so don't start sending me emails. I would. One of the most important questions for me would be, okay, give me your GitHub account user. I want to see what you did. I don't want you to give me in CV how you were a rocket scientist, because everybody lies in CVs.
Yep.
Show me what you did.
Yep.
Show me. Because I don't have time to call you and 50,000 of other people and then go through the process and I don't know what. First step, convince me that you're good by giving me access to your work.
Yep.
Doesn't have to be, I spent 8 hours every day working on that something. But you have something that is publicly accessible, whatever that something is.
Yeah. Well, I'm not allowed to, put the stuff out that I've worked on in my office. That answer is true. However, if you're looking for a job, find an open source project you can contribute to.
So,
it's those kinds of things that you got to get your public work out there. Like right now, part of our public work, you go look at my GitHub, you go look at Victor's GitHub. They're very vastly different. Very vastly. Okay. Talk about words. But part of the things that we're putting out is like what we're doing right now, right? We got a podcast. We're doing this live stream. This is part of what we do. By the way, breaking the fourth wall, we're also playing a bit of a character as well, if you haven't figured that out. If you were to sit down with us, we're not exactly this loud or this brash. But put us in front of a camera or an audience, it's a little bit different. But this is part of the content because we want to be able to entertain. We want to be able to inform. If you like us, great. If you don't like us, that's fine. There's other people you might like better. We want you to like us. We want you to love us. We actually want you to love us and not like us. Wait, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, back to GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket. Doesn't matter, right? Have
blog posts. Doesn't matter.
What was that last one?
I mean, blog posts. Doesn't matter. Kind of something that can.
Yeah. It's got to be public. It's got to be public. Because if you're behind a paywall for everything private, how do people know who you are? Do you think I feel comfortable getting in front of this camera? Heck no. Do I do it because I need to? Yes.
You don't have to. You like it.
There's a part of me that enjoys the performance. There's the other part of me that's just like shaking in my boots right now. But that's okay. I've gotten over that a little bit. But as my monitor starts to fall, Neil, that's what I would say is, and let's go to the B side of his question here. How much can you expect to make? I will tell you, based on where you live, is going to determine that number completely. I live in a banking town where lots of things are outsourced for the lowest dollar possible. And in fact, I had to laugh the other day. They were looking for a senior DevOps engineer. So I will go ahead and use the phrase because it was there. As a senior DevOps engineer, we need somebody that knows Jenkins, Terraform, GitHub. They have both GitHub, Atlassian. They needed Chef and something else. And they wanted, like 3 to 5 years of everything. We're offering a great salary. Maximum salary, starting salary is going to be $80,000. You'll be able to grow your way to $90,000 after 3 years. You tell me if that's great or not. If I lived in the middle of Iowa, that might be okay. I don't live in the middle of Iowa or the middle of Nebraska or somewhere else that money may be super great. But there are, even in larger towns, the money, it depends on who's hiring in town, how they've been hiring, drives prices either up or down. You live in the Bay Area and you say $80,000, it's like, great, I can go get a new piece of cardboard every 3 weeks to live in.
Exactly. On the other hand, 80, 90,000 that you mentioned, like where I live in Spain.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very, very good.
You would need to be Elon Musk or I don't know, Bill Gates or something like kind of. There are like 5 people altogether that earn that money.
Yeah. So it depends on where you live.
Sorry, excluding remote companies, international stuff like that, because then the game is different.
Yes. And that's the key part, is if you're willing to work for a company that's primarily remote, some of those things go away. I'm not going to say that everybody gets paid the same, because usually you don't see pay scales across the board, because you're still going to be locked into regional rules and regional normalcy and other things that will still apply. So you have to sort of know where your market is. And if you're willing to, let's say I wanted to go work for company X in San Francisco, but I didn't want to move, I wanted to stay in North Carolina, I might be able to get a bit of a bump or something, or maybe not, who knows, right? Because they may be first round seed, or they may still be seed round or whatever, and they don't have the cash flow, but they got equity. That's the other thing, is if you're going to go work for, let's say you're going to go work for Amazon, you're going to get probably a reasonable salary, probably get some signing bonuses, and you'll get some RSUs. That's sort of the standard thing that I've been hearing from people that interview. I follow this guy called, I'll pull up his, let me move the hot dog because I don't want to spill my food. I'm going to pull up a guy's site. So if you're on the market, I bought this guy's book probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And let's see if this is it or not, and then I'll share it. Yeah, this is pretty good. I've been wanting to get him on the podcast because, and I've just been lazy. Let's just be real. So there is, let me make sure I got this. So it's called Fearless Salary Negotiation. In fact, I'll go ahead and drop it in to the chat so I don't forget about it. The guy's name is Josh Duty. He actually sent out an email this week or last week that went through the story. This is the reason why I brought up the Amazon thing. He told this whole story about how somebody would go through and how they negotiated with Amazon. And this is actually a really good site. There's lots of interesting information here. So if you're on the market right now, in fact, if you're trying to find stuff, now's probably a good time to be looking. But here's the, it's a very good book. Like I said, this was part of what I had when I first came on to where I'm working today. So this is just normal stuff for me. And I still reread this. It's sort of like rereading Phoenix Project every year or two, right? So I still look at this just as like, okay, has he updated it yet or done some other things? And I lost my mouse. There it is. So anyway, Fearless Salary Negotiation. Great site if you've not heard of it.
So can I give it's a 3 steps process.
Okay.
Find a job in a remote company.
Yes.
Step number 1.
Okay.
From US. Let's clarify.
Okay.
Then move to Thailand.
One of our people.
Live happily ever after. You'll be able to buy an island over there. Not a big one. So you will not be able to afford a big island. Yeah, it's going to be small. Yes.
It'll be a small island. You'll have a staff of 20 people.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, it's pretty close to true. Okay. If everybody has any other questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I know it takes a couple of minutes for this to get out, so I'll just keep rambling here for a minute. We're trying to get. So wait, who was this week's podcast? I don't even remember who we did. Oh wait,
Carlos.
No, we recorded Carlos this week, so we got a couple of good episodes coming up. But this week's episode that we released was let's talk about it. This was the one to where we had fighting words, this was a step-by-step guide to trashing your competitor's product. That's not the phrase. Yeah. That's not the title, but I like that title better. But it was already too late. I didn't want to go back and do all the work again. Yep. if you haven't listened to that episode, you'll want to go listen to it, because Victor, we were talking about breaking the fourth wall or pulling back the curtain. He pulled the curtain way back on that one. It was a good therapy session, I think. I think that kept you from doing things you shouldn't do. But today it's, 4 weeks on from when we recorded that, 3 weeks on from when we recorded that. How do you still feel?
No, I mean,
The concept is still true, right? The
concept is still true, and what matters just for those who didn't listen, in a single sentence, kind of like I really dislike when there is a negative marketing. Kind of your product is horrible because my product is bad. I don't mind you saying this and this product are horrible because I evaluated them and all those things, and I don't have a hidden agenda. That's great. Actually, that's something that is not happening enough. But at the end of the day, kind of, to me, the only thing important is that doesn't matter how much somebody trashes other products that are competing with their products, as long as I can keep kind of like ignoring all that and not fall into that trap. So I still stand by what I mentioned in one of the previous episodes. You can ask me anything you want. I will always give you an honest answer, but I will not compare the products I work on with competing products. That's simply not going to happen.
Well, number one, not that I care about fairness, but it's not fair, right? It's just, it's bad taste. And, much like what we talked about in the episode was based on the comparisons the gentleman made, he didn't know what the backlog was on what you were working on, right? So you don't have a full picture, so it's hard to make good comparisons.
It's not only that, but it's not about only bad taste. It's about me not wanting to treat other people like they're I cannot find the word without swearing.
Well, this is the live stream. This is the live stream, so you can say what you want to say. I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like...
Hang on a second. Wait. So here's the comment that does the beep work now. So don't even worry about the beep. Just beep. Or do we want to use this as a case study to where, we want people to watch this at a lunchtime break? So let that answer be your answer.
Here's the thing. I think that any person who goes to a vendor site in search for information that compare vendors' product with other competing products is insane. Kind of like okay, you're not maybe insane, but it's extremely stupid. You don't go to IBM so that IBM can tell you whether they're better than Oracle or worse. You can go to some independent person that worked with both and tells you this is great, this is horrible, whatever. That's all good. That's great. And we are missing those things. But you don't go to my site, for example, of the products I'm working and in search for information whether our product is better or worse than other competing products. It's just stupid. Kind of like, how can you trust a vendor to give information that compares one product to another? It's insane. It's treating like people as if they're children instead of adults. So that's my main reason. It's not that I have no problem telling anybody this is horrible, this is bad. I do that very often, but I feel that if I would be doing that when comparing with other competing products, I would treat those people like they're dumb.
Yeah, and again, this goes back to the episode we talk about towards the end, especially in the space that we're in. Our job is to eliminate the humans.
Yeah.
Right. All of us that work in competing companies, that's our job, is to automate away the humans.
Get rid of them.
Get rid of the humans.
So tell me how many negative, truly horrifyingly negative things happened throughout history that were not human fault. So by eliminating humans, we would eliminate the problem.
We'll eliminate everything.
Very clear. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But we don't have, I was listening to somebody this morning on my walk and it was like, okay, well, we don't have, since we are organics and there are not any sentient synthetics yet. He's been watching too much Picard. It's just, it's, are we going to make mistakes? Yes. Well, actually, I know I make mistakes. Victor, you don't make mistakes.
never happened.
That's fine. Okay. Ramin actually has a question. So the episode. Now, this episode actually that came out on Wednesday was both. So if you don't listen to the podcast, you just happen to walk across today, whatever podcast catcher you listen with, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just look up DevOps Paradox. You can find it on Spotify as well if you want to listen to Spotify and mix in some music afterwards. That's all good. But this week, what was a little different was this is one of the ones where we did both video and audio. It's hard so like if it's just me and Victor, it's easy for us because we actually record it with two separate things, not just one. And we had a heck of a time getting it right. You remember that morning or my morning? It was just we were chasing.
My brain blocked it.
Golly, man, it was a bad day. But we ended up getting it, and we try to make the audio sound as good as possible. So I come from radio, so I have a high bar for what I want from an audio quality. And if I do it just video, like what we're doing now, all the audio is mixed down to one track. So it's hard to edit, especially if he does a beep thing. Thankfully, he didn't do one today. But well, actually here, I don't care because this is live. This is the Ask Me Anything. Ramin, I am still looking. There it is. Wait, is that last week's? Oh, there it is, 52. Oh, that's next week. You can't see next week's yet. Oh, wait, that's the other one. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I will look for it in just a minute. Let's put up this question. Actually, you can start answering on this while I'm still looking here. So, what the heck is it?
Shall I read it?
Yeah, why don't you read it while I'm looking here?
About eliminating humans, what do you think would be good for someone who is mediocre and has difficulty learning new things? They are likely to be replaced, kicked out of our industry. I mean, depends. I mean, if you're mediocre, I wouldn't be worried at all because the vast percentage of people working in this industry are way below mediocre. So you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
you're fine. Yeah. We can argue what mediocre means, but mediocre is a person who does well. It's just not a freaking genius, right? Most of us are mediocre or below. That's okay. I think that there will always be jobs, and I don't recall actually that if ever happened that some technological advancement meant reduction of work. The number of hours we need. It's just that we do better, we do more, we produce more, and all those things, right? I mean, industrial revolution did not result in loss of jobs, maybe short term, but not really, right? We just started producing more. So there will always be now. Depends what you mean by difficulty learning new things. So if that means literally kind of like, I know this and I will never be able to learn anything else, then you're in deep trouble. But if that means kind of I cannot learn a new framework every week, then that's normal. That's where
our
everybody
life
is. Exactly.
If it's a matter of I can't or I don't want to, which is it? I'm not capable of doing it or I don't want to do it. It boils down to it.
But I already argued about that. So for me, it's actually hard to imagine that is ever the case. Because, and I think that I will be now quoting myself in one of the previous episodes, if you manage to become a software engineer, go through schools or self-learning or whatever, you prove that you are capable of learning.
Yes.
So what happened that you stopped being capable of learning? I don't accept that as an argument. I think it's very unrealistic because, if you say, I'm a cashier in a supermarket, and there's nothing wrong with being that, right? But kind of I can say, yeah, maybe you cannot learn new stuff and you never could. Maybe, I don't know. But you're a software engineer. How did you get to the place where you're in right now if you're incapable of learning? So it cannot be true. It's more a choice than incapability. And when I say a choice, I mean, of course, some people learn faster, some slower, but incapable of learning?
Yeah.
No.
And by the way, a cashier in a supermarket, they're probably worth more than a COBOL developer right now.
Yes.
Parents are learning that teachers are worth a lot more than they're getting paid right now.
Yes.
Got another one from Neil. You mentioned to make more money, you should take companies to the next level. How do you go about making big changes like that in a company? You have to buy the company.
No, you can.
Yeah, you can.
But I mean, you need to be freaking awesome, and to really, really know something very well, whatever that something is. Right? It's never about taking to the next level about everything. It's about taking next step in certain area. Right? You need to be extremely good at that something. You need to be extremely good at vocalizing that something. Right? There are people who know a lot, but are incapable of transmitting that a lot. And you need to be able to demonstrate that you already did the same thing with others.
Yes.
Right. So nobody wants, when you go to a bank and say, I'm going to take you to the next level, they're going to say, okay, so whom did you take to the next level before me? And that's a bit of a chicken and egg. So you need to gradually get there.
What does
First
that
20
mean?
years is difficult. Then it gets easier.
It is. And I think too, is like, well, this is a very common question I hear, is, okay, this position needs this much experience, but I can't get the experience until I get the job, chicken and egg, right? Then maybe you need to go volunteer somewhere that needs that type of role, right? Maybe you go help out a nonprofit, or you're helping out, maybe you're helping to teach, or you're doing anything to get near that space. It's a pain, but are you willing to pay that price in order to get the bigger payout later?
But how many software engineers we know that have basic skills? Let's say basic, right? But still know something, right? It's not that you literally don't know what a computer is. You have basic skills.
Yep.
How many do we know that are unemployed? I mean, it's such a high demand. There is always opportunity to learn. Now, the question is kind of, maybe I'm asking for much higher position than I really should deserve. That's a separate question. But there is always opportunity to learn, and there is always job.
Yep. And if you're playing the position game, I would caution against that, because usually money follows position, but I tend to say money follows what you can actually do. Yes. It may not be, at least on the technical side, maybe not on the management side. Again, I've never been up the management tree, but.
Okay. Can I change my previous answer about how to earn money and stuff like that?
You can do anything.
You have some level, some skills, whatever those skills are.
Yeah.
That are technical, right? Excellent. Yeah. Now that's it. Stop. Don't advance in that direction anymore.
Right.
Stop right there. And now move into area of learn business, learn management, learn all that non-technical skills. Mm-hmm. You will be king of the world. If you want to earn money, you go into management. Big money. That's where money is, really. I mean, there are technical people who earn a lot, but they are much smaller percentage than non-technical people in technical industry earning a lot.
Correct. If you can be technical and successfully make that shift to management, and notice I'm saying management and not leadership. Management and leadership are not the same thing. But if you make that shift to management and playing a management role, more than likely, you're going to have a whole different set of headaches than you did technically. And I appreciate that. But the chances for advancement and switching teams are a heck of a lot easier from my perspective, from a management side, than it is a technical side. In fact, I've seen that play out. It's like, well, we only allow our managers to be in these certain departments. They have to change departments every 18 months. I've seen that at a couple of very large companies. So even if you have a great manager, their clock is already ticking the first day they show up, because they're not allowed to stay beyond a certain amount of time. They have to go somewhere else. It's a bit scary. I don't like it, but it's what it is. I think we answered the rest of Neil's. Let's double make sure. How do you make big changes in the company? That's a hard.
Okay, so this is like that trick about how to lift, I don't know how much weight in like 5 days or whatever.
Right.
Kind of like whomever has a few sentences as answers that to that is just it's lying or has no idea what he's talking about. It's extremely difficult. It requires a lot of authority, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and there is no formula to that. It's simply there isn't a formula.
If you
there is
do
no
not,
answer.
yeah, there is no answer. So here's the deal: is if you're given the responsibility without authority, that's not going to be any good, because you don't have the authority to make certain changes, even though you have the responsibility. Conversely, if you have the authority but no responsibility, that's North Korea, right?
But that's where
Dictatorship.
that's one of the reasons why capability to explain well and be authoritative is very important, because the first step to make any big change, apart from you knowing what you're doing and all those things, is to be able to convince somebody very high on the company ladder that those changes must happen. That's the first step.
Yep.
So you need to be capable of convincing CTO of a company that those changes are required, and that person, that CTO, should give you full authority to do them.
And what kind of skill set does a CTO typically have?
So
they're typically not technical, even though it's in their title.
Yes, or they are, but it doesn't even matter whether technical or not. Their job is not to talk about, oh, if you start, we prefer containers over VMs because containers, namespaces and I don't know what. He has no time nor willingness. He's thinking about so much higher picture than that kind of you going into talking about that technical detail is just a waste of his time.
Right.
So being able to do that, and I will start by admitting I don't know how to do that, but that's the first step. You need to be able to communicate on that level.
Yep. And said differently, or at least in the US, one of the phrases is you have to know how to play the game. And if you're purely technical, you probably don't know how to play the game. A guy I previously worked with, he was very technical, became a little less technical, still can do technical. I got to get him on the podcast too. Now he's a venture capitalist. Like he's running a VC firm. He's still technical, but boy, does he know how to play the game. And it's like, look, I'm going to make you look good, right? You go play the game, but then I'll just stay in the background and let me know when you're ready for me to do my thing. Because I don't want to get mixed into that. My problem is I don't know how to be, I see black and white. I don't see shades of gray, which has gotten me in trouble over the years.
Yeah.
Even with my wife.
But it's also, it's completely different subjects. You speak about money, you speak about return of investment, you speak about the benefits. It's completely non-technical.
Yeah. It's a tough thing. In fact, speaking of a tough thing, we need to wrap this up because I've got to get ready for my call in 15 minutes. Thanks everybody for hanging out today. Sorry we had to cut it a little bit short. We will probably be back again next week. Just depends on how the week falls out. So look for some sort of notification maybe on Wednesday, Thursday. Look down below in the description. You'll see if you haven't joined the Slack workspace, go ahead and go do that. If you haven't checked out the new Chaos course yet, go ahead and go do that too. Again, the links to everything is down below. And what was the one other thing I wanted to say? I don't remember. I had one more thing, but I already forgot.
You'll remember it by next Friday.
Maybe. I'll remember it in the next 5 minutes, but that's not going to help us any. So, okay, let me go ahead and get all the coolness out here. And so with that being said, we're out of here. Be safe. If you're allowed to start going to do things, go take advantage of it, but don't take too much advantage because you don't want to lose that nice, pretty opportunity you have right now. So everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks.
Cheers, everybody.